week on Carlie's Couch, we explore how misogyny affects us all and discuss several sneaky ways it could be infiltrating your life.
Welcome to Carlie's Couch. Thanks for joining us. I have Carlie to my left. I am Alexia Clincy in front of you.
If you can, just in case you were wondering where she was.
All in your ear, on your screen, whatever you got going on. It's me.
This week's question from the couch. If you could be a dinosaur for a day, which dinosaur would you be? Do you know which one you would be?
Nah, probably one of those little quick, snappy ones. Yeah, something like raptor. Doesn't it start with a V? There's something that starts with a V.
Velociraptor?
Yeah, maybe something like that. But I don't know. I don't really care. I can't think of anything like pressing around what I would be or why.
Okay, so we have whatever Littlefoot was.
Someone was like a little brontosaurus.
I think, yeah.
Not bronchosaurus.
Someone said bronchosaurus. Someone said bronchosaurus.
First of all, it's not a bronchosaurus, but it's a brontosaurus, I believe.
Okay, and I think that's what Littlefoot was. So it's two of y'all.
I think so too. Yeah. Because they're peaceful and we're just herbivores and all that.
Be chilling.
That's cute.
Someone said a pterodactyl, a P pterodactyl, just in case you were wondering.
It's probably fire.
Mm-hmm. Someone said a T-flex.
Yeah, all right.
Boo. No. Yeah.
Raptors. I think the raptors, because they were fastened off of Jurassic Park. Like they just seemed like they was kind of lit.
Kind of vibing. Someone said a Triceratops, which is Sarah off of
those look
Littlefoot.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then someone said a woolly mammoth, and then they asked, "Are they a dinosaur?"
I think they're from that time.
I don't think they're classified as a dinosaur.
They're mammals. Well, no, dinosaurs aren't a thing. Like dinosaurs were reptiles, right? And or some of them were. I think some of them fit into different categories. So. Also, I don't know. I think we just don't really know anything about anything for real. So,
yeah,
they're archosaurs, a larger group of reptiles. Yeah, I don't even think we really know. So, I see those memes where they were like, "How do we know they weren't covered in hair and all that?" And it's like, I don't know, maybe, but probably you know.
I was laughing because they were talking about the biblically correct angels. And they were like, but mad people didn't have glasses back then. So it's like, you thought they looked this way, but did they or did they not?
Yeah.
I've never thought about that.
We don't have no real accounts.
I wouldn't have glasses, so I probably wouldn't be able to see very well back then either.
I mean, yeah, we probably wouldn't live that long.
That's crazy.
So that's what happens there. You have asthma, you're done. You have any issues, you're done.
You catch a cold, you out of here, fam.
Yeah, you're done. So that was what it was. This week, however, we are talking about misogyny. Ooh. I don't know shit about this. I don't know why Carlie got me talking about misogyny, but here we go.
Let me tell a story. So if you tune into last week,
with me today.
Look, I ain't trying to argue with y'all, but I do think it's interesting. So if you listen to last week's episode, we talked about storytelling. So I'm gonna tell y'all a story. So we're looking for topics for episodes today, and I was looking through my various notes that have about Carlie's Couch podcast episode ideas, all kind of stuff in my phone, and I found this question: do men control how women present themselves? And I thought that would be an interesting topic to chat about. But then it made me think about a conversation I just had with one of my line sisters, in which she was like, oh, I realized that I was just saying I would be okay with X because I thought that would be more acceptable to a man. And she's like, I didn't realize until after I realized I don't really want X that I was like, oh, wait, I was just doing that shit to be more palatable to a man. That's crazy. And then it made me also think about Jay, Quaynor, who was on JQ. He was on a podcast episode talking about the brain and parasocial relationships. And I was thinking about like my guy friends and men in my life who I know who are actively working to get rid of their patriarchal beliefs and actively fighting against misogyny. And Jay been on this wave since college. Mm-hmm. Like Jay has been like, he wouldn't even listen to the J. Cole song, One Time for My LA Sisters, One Time for My LA Hoes, because he doesn't like that, like the distinction of calling women hoes. And he gave me this whole dissertation in undergrad. And I was like, okay, bro. And now I'm like, damn, he right though. So shout out to Jay for being one of the only men that I know who's actively working on misogyny, and Sanford, because I know you listening too.
So the question being presented is, do men control how women present themselves? And now are we asking this like to each person that they ask themselves this, or are we saying, generalizing like in society and in life in general?
I would say macro then micro.
Both,
yeah, it's a little bit of both. So macro, do we think that men control how women present themselves society wise? And then you personally, where do you notice where you might be dressing for the male gaze or not doing something for the male gaze, etc.?
Okay, so we can start out with, just to lay some foundations, how male-driven norms influence what's air quote acceptable for women. So we have so much historical and cultural control over women's clothing, the roles you can play, your bodies. There's a book I'm reading right now where part of it goes back to 1922, and this lady, you know, she's a what would you call this? Like someone who sells like rare books and antiquities and stuff. But it's so interesting because she has a lot of conversation and experiences where it's like, oh, she has to get the guy to do the business for her because nobody would take her seriously, things like that, right? And we've seen that all through history, through now. Also media, religion, family, shaping what's considered appropriate femininity. I know my dad still, like, I know when I go home, like, in certain places, I'll throw certain types of dresses on because I know that's what he would prefer to see. And he'll be like, oh, you're dressed like such a lady today. And it kind of pisses me off because I'm like, you know, what does that mean for real? And also, I don't be wanting to have that conversation. But, you know, those little things are kind of showing that we are, air quote again, it's going to be a lot of air quotes in this one, supposed to be doing something a certain way to be deemed respectable or a lady or a woman.
And so looking at dress codes, beauty standards, what is beautiful, what is not, likability politics, also thinking about body empowerment. Like there's a lot of like fit stuff happening now, and it's like women are like, I don't want to get too bulky, or I need to get a certain level of curvy and build out this, and how do I get rid of my hip dips because of this, and what if my thighs are touching? And there's just so many things that are built on these standards that were not set for us by beauty. But even if we're looking at it from a micro level now, so that's macro, thinking about all these things that shape it. On a micro level, I'm laughing because when I went to visit my dad in Singapore, I had on a dress and he was like, oh, are you going to wear that? And I was like, and he was like, okay. And I was like, first of all, like,
right,
what do you mean? Yeah, what do you mean? And he was like, oh, it's just, he's like, well, if you want to wear that. And I'm like, but bro, tell me, like, what do you mean first? So we can have a conversation. He was like, oh, it's just a nicer place. I was like, that's all you had to say. It didn't have to be no extra stuff about like that. But even looking at those type of things.
And what's interesting is we're going to talk about how we can recognize some of these behaviors and beliefs in our own lives, because I'll admit there's definitely, even with things like how women dress, there is certain levels to where I would catch myself being like, that's a lot, you know, or I wouldn't did that. And still we have to challenge that we are not making assumptions about a person or who they are and what they're doing. And in some cases, like, it's very clear what's going on and what they're doing. And it's just you know, you do what you do type vibes. And recognizing why that might make you uncomfortable. So I definitely, like, I can admit that there's, in certain ways, like, there is a spectrum of things that are easy for me to catch and see and be like, cool. And then there's still certain things where I may have to catch myself as well. Yeah.
Okay, so when thinking about internalized misogyny, here's some ways, some sneaky ways that it can present itself in your life. So one way is you could be trying to hide your body, so choosing the way you dress in your outfits to avoid getting any attention. Like, and I think I do this when I work with kids and stuff. Like, I am completely covered because also it's like there's no reason for you to have your titties and your booty out when you're working with kids. Like, they did not come for all that. Like, that's not why they're there. But I might wear a different outfit when I'm teaching a group of adults. But again, even when I'm teaching, I still don't want to have everything out.
And so that's why this conversation is interesting too, because it's like for people who do that and they're comfortable and that's what they want to do we just be like, okay, cool? And I will say that I do think it's on us in particular environments to also respect the cultures of the space. Like even like I said, when I go home, right? Like I would, but in my grandma's house, I wear distressed jeans, and she was like, "What happened to you?" Like, but like, there's certain things where I know it's okay. Like, I don't feel no kind of way respecting what y'all got going on because I know what's going on. Just like I wouldn't, first of all, I probably won't be there anyway, but like I wouldn't dropped off in Dubai and not be covered up in the way that you need to be covered up for their societal norms. But also, I guess that's what we're talking about, is these are norms of places, and there is a balance of, well, you still could do your part by not causing a person to trip. You don't throw a stick in front of a blind person. So that is a very, and that's actually a tough conversation. It's something actually I've been thinking about a lot in the last couple of months, of like, not that certain things are your fault, but making things easier for other people and how we present. And what's the balance between that and you just like being you and doing what you want to do?
Yeah, that's interesting. And also I think, and I'm like, maybe it is misogyny, but like, whenever even you visit temples and stuff in Thailand, you have to cover your arms. And Malaysia, like I had to wear a wrap, even though I was fully clothed, I still had to wear a little wrap to not show my thighs and stuff around things.
I mean, I was conscious, and this goes in to the next part of it too, like with professionalism, you feel that, okay, I need to look a certain way if I was going to present something, right, to people or do a thing. You may present yourself differently. I recently went to a male client of mine's home because we were going to be creating some content, doing some things. And I do remember like looking at how I was dressed and being like, all right, let me make sure like I'm super appropriate, whatever. And then, he was there. His wife was there. I had met his wife for the first time too. And I actually remember thinking too, like, what, I'm glad I didn't have nothing that looked like it might have been funny, because certain things might not have been appropriate for that time. And, or you just don't want to leave any space for, any of that with other people.
And I'm wondering if that is internalized misogyny though, because I feel like, so I have a male client too, and I also think about that and I'm dressed a little bit.
That's just knowing the facts of like,
yeah, like
A, people be weird, and then B, you just like, hopefully like men, they address women a little bit differently sometimes now since all Me Too stuff and all of that, right? Like you could tell there's more of a conscious boundaries setting and thinking about that. And that might not necessarily be misogyny, and because of the state of things, that is something I will think about before I put myself in any position. Just like how we say too, like just because I walk down this alley and somebody robbed me, is that making my fault? Like, and also I'm not going down the alley. Yeah. So there's like a balance there of, yes, I know what I need to do to protect myself and to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. And it's not necessarily my fault, like when a thing happens.
Yeah, I think so. And also thinking about even like your tone and how you speak in certain situations. And I actually have a very misogynistic example. When I worked in construction, imagine the nonsense that I dealt with on the daily. But these men straight up told me in a meeting, it's just really hard to hear your voice because we've all just trained to not hear our wives and moms nag.
That's crazy. HR,
bro. And
that's crazy.
And the crazy part is like everybody just laughed.
Yeah, and they thought it was
in there
that
too,
was
and
cool.
they thought it was okay. And it's not. So that is, and the fact that like from then on, I thought about my tone and how to do this, and it was like a lot on the back end that I shouldn't have had to do. Shouldn't have had to do. That's crazy. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are insane. If y'all ever find my podcast, y'all know y'all wrong.
Yeah, but also just in general, like second guessing how you do anything, how you're sitting, how you're laughing, how you're talking to people, how you're engaging, what you got on, like all of that is kind of just a part of us having to just think extra hard, or maybe more than other people in some cases, due to the state of patriarchy and all of that. But it's more than just physical things also.
Yeah, it's creates like a lot of judgment and competition between women. It always pits us against each other, and think about how you want to like how it used to sound like a compliment when you would tell a man like, oh, I'm not like all the other women, or things like that. Like,
yeah. And it sucks too when every once in a while, like on social media, somebody will make a statement, and then to see like women being like, oh, hold on, no, y'all on the wrong side, like pushing the same kind of ideals and stuff. And it's like, again, I understand sometimes there's things like where you might be like, and there's certain things you don't say, and or you saying it the way you say lets me know or makes me feel like you're not understanding like what the actual issue is, or like that this woman isn't actually the issue, but that it's a whole lot of other things. And so this is something that's definitely internalized and just part of the system for a lot of people, including slut shaming and sex work shaming, sex shaming, like people's activities and what they do with their bodies is a big, big thing where, on one side, it's like, oh, wow, we could talk about WAP or we could talk about something. But then there's just as many women and people on the other side who are like, why are y'all doing this? Or you shouldn't be doing this, or, tone this down. And it comes from all different types of people.
Mm-hmm. Another one is devaluing women's work or contribution. So if you think a woman couldn't be president because she's too emotional, that is internalized misogyny. And I've heard women say that, and that is so crazy to me. That is so crazy to me. Especially look at how we living. Look at how we living. This is crazy.
It don't make no sense. Not a lick of sense. So demanding equal resources without equal responsibility, insisting on equal resources for men and women, but subtly expecting women to continue doing more of the domestic work and emotional labor, things of that nature. It's always so interesting. I really believe that women are so much stronger because they do so much more. And it's like a thing that a lot of people just can't understand because they don't. Nowadays, it's one of the biggest things I'll see. And I know I'm generalizing, so I don't believe this about all men, but it's something that I see very often that just so turns me off. It's just like a laziness, like a lack of like just connecting, understanding. It's almost as if they were just babied by their moms their whole life and never became, somebody who can be that multifaceted. And then that conversation, which I've seen, turns into like, oh, so you saying moms are the ones who messed up the kids? And it's like, yeah, it's all a system. Like, this is kind of the point. But shout out to the men who do kind of have more of understanding of partnership in that way.
Yeah, but that goes into blaming women for systemic issues, attributing political or societal problems to women's choices or actions, deflecting attention from the larger systemic issues that perpetrate inequalities. So that's one example, like blaming moms for that. While I will say it is up to moms to look at their own internalized misogyny and misogynoir and everything and what they're teaching their kids, it is also the kids, like the kid as they grow up, it will be their choice to continue to perpetrate these things and change or not. So you can't blame the moms. It's also like in Oklahoma when I was growing up, they were blaming all these fast young girls for teen pregnancy, but we didn't have sexual education, no access to sex ed or any type of resources. And y'all calling young girls fast, but you're not talking about the creepy men who are getting them pregnant. So like, what's the real deal?
Yeah, that's wild. It's a lot of this is like, what's the full story and accepting a full story. But so quickly we just want to blame because of double standards or say that, put things on women where it's not necessarily that. I've seen this a lot on social media lately, idealizing a traditional lifestyle, or trad lifestyle, romanticizing that role of the 50s housewife and ignoring, what that really means about their limitations and the fact that they couldn't buy a house, they couldn't have a credit card, they couldn't vote, they couldn't do
no bank account,
couldn't do anything without the man. And so that's why they were in those positions. What's that show? Shoot, I can't think of the name of it. Mad Men. I started trying to watch that and I was like, it was in like the 50s, I think. And it just everything, obviously it was in the time and that's cool, but like everything was so like, it's like anti-black, anti-women, and not anti, but like they were portraying the times, but the way they were speaking and having conversations, I was like, yeah, I can't do this. This is so crazy to me right now. So I'm glad like a lot of the straight up stuff has kind of slowed down, but not so much because like you see politics right now. Like we just retweeted something about how it's very interesting. Like there are state laws around women's bodies, but not anything about men. Like for what? Why? So we still have a ways to go, but there's a lot of implications to these things that seem cool now that it's important to recognize.
Absolutely. Another one that we kind of touched on is expecting women to be emotional caretakers, placing the burden of emotional labor, appeasing others, navigating conflict primarily on women, but then also calling them overly emotional and having this narrative that women can't hold emotions or they're not that logical or they're crazy, like all these things that society, like which way do you want it? Do you want us to be the donkeys that do all the emotional labor or not? Like how does that work? And you can really see that starting to play out.
Yeah. And lastly, one of the sneaky ways is portraying women as selfish or dependent. So being quick to be like, oh, she's looking to be saved or she wants somebody to take care of her. Saying that they're self-centered or materialistic, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things kind of play into these narratives that are not very good.
Yeah, how are women gold diggers, but y'all don't have gold? Like, not all of y'all, but some of y'all. Like, I see people on there all the time like, oh, she with me for money, but you make $50,000 a year. What money?
That, and so many men, that's all they can lead with and all they try to lead with, which in itself is also lame. So it's like, again, it's just like ignoring a whole half of the conversation on that. And also there's the complexities of the facts that somebody can have what they have and be able to take care of themselves and still want somebody who brings other things or helps them or takes care of them at times, et cetera, et cetera. There's just so much more to that.
Yeah, also looking up how patriarchy set up men to be providers, and then it gets mad at women for wanting to be provided for. And so it just really just harms us all. And I think it's really important for all of us to take a look at ourselves. And so when you're thinking about unlearning, for all the men listening, this is important for you too. You start with questioning yourself. Am I doing this because I want to or because I think I should? Am I doing this and it might feel weird, but I'm just doing it because it's the way I've always done things?
And also experiment. So I love doing this over the last few years. Wear something different, say things differently, do things differently, something you maybe have avoided or maybe been curious about, and notice how it feels. Like so often we're like just trying to fit in a certain way or do what we see online or in the media, etc., but it's not quite feeling like yourself. And all of this is about getting to yourself and being who you are. So try something new.
Oh, I'm going to shout out Torian. He was also on a podcast episode, Torian Nixon, with Stand Still Tea, because he loves wearing pearls. And like, he'd been wearing pearls for years, but he used to get ragged on by people because they were like, oh, that's feminine and that's this. But he really loves them. And so men too, like, have fun with fashion.
Yeah, me and Sean were talking about Lil Uzi Vert the other day, like out the gate, like that little boy could fight. Like he's really Philly and like really tough and hard and very, very sassy at the same time. And we were talking about how it's so interesting how there was that era for a while. And actually maybe there's always this group, right? Like even when you look back at them old Isley Brothers pictures and stuff, he was like, I don't know y'all could fight, but y'all was really out here acting sassy, looking sassy, being who y'all want to be and all of that.
Cutting people.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. It's like, just do what you do.
Yep. Following people online who embody diverse expressions of self. So looking at different bodies, different voices, different styles, things that empower you. There's a lot. Ilohana Mayer, I don't know how to say her name, Mayer. She's a rugby lady, but she's all about strength and empowerment. And there's so many different people out there that can help inspire you to get outside of your shell.
Mm-hmm. Also pay attention to the language you use and stop using language that reinforces some of these harmful standards. So when you say that something is too girly or they're too loud or something's too masculine or it's not soft enough or too emotional, all of those things, right? Notice the way that you speak about men and women and see like why you're saying that.
Yeah, because that goes the same, like men have emotions too. They are allowed to process them. Man up. Like, okay, no, they can do both. And then lastly, solidarity. It's important that we stop judging each other. We take time to compliment everybody's diversity, affirm women who present themselves authentically, affirm people in your life, affirm yourself whenever you allow yourself to step outside.
Yep. So the way women present themselves is often shaped by male-centered standards, as we talked about, and that's just a historical thing that's gone on. But this week, we want you to challenge that. We want you to look at yourself, think about ways you can present yourself purely based off of your own joy, who you are. Do something a little different. Pay attention to how you're interacting with others and what you're saying, doing, and thinking, and challenge these standards in your own life.
It is at Carlie's Couch. Let us know how it goes.
Peace out.